That's dull. That's really dull for 35
It's not
and
giving.
below. It's not giving. Please, make it giving. Hey, yo, team 35 and below, let me hear, oh yeah. That's my team.
All right, so we're going to have a battle, new school versus old school. So the first question for team new school. Team old school. Team old school, oi! I want us, where's the ushers to help us with the roving microphone? I want you to, okay, we have a roving microphone there. Team old school, can you name for me 3 side hustles very fast that you can do? 3 side hustles that you think, amongst your peers that you've heard about. Team old school, able to ski. Team old school, team old school. Let me show you how team old school makes money. Anyone with just 3 side hustles that you can mention amongst your peers. Yes, go ahead.
Probably selling insurance as a side hustle.
Okay, that's number 1. So not scared, serious guys. Listen to us.
Yeah.
Listen, selling insurances. Next. Team old school. Team old school first.
Operating a car wash business.
No. Car wash, butchery, kinyozi. Team old school, yes. The third one. Then you come to new school.
Wait, farming.
Farming. Unaona, wakulima. We have people who value, food. Well, let's come to team new school.
Team new school. Among your peers, what are the side hustles you've had? Maybe mentioned, maybe yourself are doing. What are the side hustles around the new school? So anyone from 35 and below, my team now. There's a roaming microphone. Someone, we have one here, kindly. One there as well. So we'll start with here.
Yeah, there's a little, the girl here. Let's hear from us.
Skia za kisasa, pay attention.
Najua tu ni ma TikTok challenges.
Umenitisha yako, skia.
Ni ma TikTok
Tours and travel.
Tours and travel.
Sawa.
We're interested in the world, bro. Stop playing. Tours and travel. Next, team new school, I like it. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lady here, the little girl here. Okay. Hapa katikati, at the back. There's a little girl at the back as well. Yeah, let's hear from her.
Worm farming.
Hiyo ni gani? Yes, we do farming. You guys are doing worm farming. Worm. Like worms.
Yeah, like you keep worms as food for animals, and also you harvest them for protein.
So because she represents my team, on behalf of my team, you guys feel free to learn from the young guys. You guys just told us you're doing farming. Now, have you heard the young version of farming?
Here. The little girl here. Hapa katikati. There's a little girl here in the black. Yeah. Huyu yako katikati hapa. Huyu. Let's hear from her. I think she's team school, not even new. Yeah, but yeah, let's hear from both of them. The lady in the white and the girl at the back there.
There is teaching and providing tuition.
Teaching and providing tuition.
Yeah.
Sawa. And then the last one there.
Making YouTube videos.
Hey, let's give her how old are you?
11.
11 years?
Yeah.
And you think, and you know about making YouTube videos?
Yeah.
Hey, when I was 11, the things I was thinking about. Let me not embarrass myself.
When you're 11, you are being told, ukimeza marago itamea kwa kichwa.
Maze!
Right now, I promise you, if you tell her something like that, she'll reason with you and tell you, bro, photosynthesis cannot take place. That is the difference.
And that is on YouTube already.
Make some noise for all yourselves.
Thank you very much. We would now like to have back on stage, give it up for our moderator. Give it up for Gladys. Give it up for Gladys, coming back on stage to moderate this session.
Sema kushanuliwa na generation alpha. Where is the young child? Where is the daughter that just, please stand up. Please appreciate her. This is not Gen Z. Gen Z ni huyu jamaa. This is generation alpha. Hao ndio wanatuonesha kisasa sasa, si ndio? What's your name, my dear? Huh? Sifa, are you here with mom or dad? Dad, dad. Well done. Thank you for bringing her. That is the kind of initiatives that we need because it needs to start with the younger ones, yeah? So please appreciate my co-MCs. Thank you. At this point, we'll talk about this financial freedom we talk about. Is it possible? I remember in one of the YouTube, actually not YouTube, on the masterclasses, the very first one, Dolly was the one who was hosting it or giving us mawaidha pesa. And she started off from the basics. And she said, one thing we need to understand is that there are stages to this journey. So there is financial crisis, financial instability, then you go to stability, then you go to independence, then you go to security, and you go to freedom. And she really stipulated each stage so well. Did we watch that? Were we part of it? Comes to stage, it's really understanding. Fine, we are starting on a journey. Kuna wale can look like, and what needs to be done in between. Please pay attention because it might feel like it is insurmountable, but really it is possible. So please appreciate Pius Bashiri. He is the founder of Nabo Capital. Appreciate him one more time.
Thank you.
Please, mark his surah. Kwa sababu, he might change your life. Sawa sawa. But again, we're saying financial literacy is what you do with the information you get today. You've got to take the initiative and go and find those that can help you along the way. So again, let's appreciate him.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings, everyone. You are all looking very beautiful from here. Are you excited? Are you ready to learn? Do you have pen and paper? Anybody who knows me, you must have a pen and paper. Because I'm going to leave you with something. Okay? But as I was reflecting about the topic of today, financial freedom, and two words that are very much thrown carelessly. But it seems to be very elusive to many of us. I remembered my son. He's called Emmanuel, and I hope he's watching on live stream. And he keeps telling me, Dad, I do not intend to work for anyone. And I keep wondering, this almost 12-year-old young man has already figured out his life before he gets his first job. So I ask him how. And he always tells me, I want money to work for me. I want money to? How many people want money to work for them? Great, you're in the right place. But what my son is really, or has been alluding to, is financial freedom. So what is true financial freedom? I'll give you my own personal definition of financial freedom. Financial freedom is when you get to do what you love to do every single day of the year. Please tell your neighbor, true financial freedom is when you get to do what you love to do every single day of the year. Not some days in there, every single day of the year. You can quote me for that one. No one will have a problem with you. Now, I have spoken to many forums like this, young people, and many of them, without fail, they ask me this one question. How do I create wealth when I have nothing to save or invest? So I want to start from there. Is that question applicable to this group, or do I just skip it? It is applicable. Hapo, eh? So I want to give you the 5 P's to true financial freedom. The 5 P's to true financial freedom. So we're going to go blow by blow. And I'm imagining this individual who doesn't have income or anything to save or invest. And the first P is package yourself. Say package yourself. There's going to be an exam after this, so that's why I'm going slowly. Package yourself. In Proverbs 18, verse 16, it says, a man's gift will bring him before kings. A man's gift will bring him before. So there is one thing that we all have in common. Everybody here has a gift. Ask your neighbor, do you have a gift? Do you believe you have a gift? Everybody here has a gift. And that gift is worth something. So if you have a gift, I have a gift, you have a gift, but your gift is different from mine, then it is also fair to say that everybody in this room has a unique value proposition. Is that correct? Everybody has a unique value proposition. There are so many presenters who have been brought before you today. If they were all the same, would I be standing here? I have a unique value proposition. So, what is your unique value proposition? Ask your neighbor, what is your unique value proposition? Now, I want you to be in this class, but I also want you to be reflecting about your own life. Do you have a unique value proposition? You do. That one I can tell you. What is that unique value proposition? Now, if you have a unique value proposition, then we can go to the next thing. The next thing is you must have an elevator pitch. You must have what? An elevator pitch. Everybody here is selling. Everybody here is selling, if knowingly or unknowingly. And right now, as you're listening to me, I'm selling something to you. I am selling something to you that by the time you leave this room today, your life will not be the same. You'll be on your way to true financial freedom. I am selling something to you. What is your elevator pitch? My elevator pitch. Who wants to know my elevator pitch? Elevator pitch is when you have 2 seconds with someone very important that you've been wanting to speak to, and you suddenly meet in an elevator, and you have these 2 seconds to tell him something or her something that will make them remember you and want to have a conversation with you. My elevator pitch is that I am in the business of making people wealthy. So who wants to be in my room? Who wants to talk to me? And if you don't want to talk to me, then I'm sorry. You're in the wrong room. I'm in the business of what? Making people wealthy. That is what I believe God created me for. That is why I'm standing here before you. That is my unique value proposition to the world. There are many others, but mine is unique. So what is your elevator pitch? I get so many CVs from so many young people. Buyers look for me. Can you get me a job? I call them, I ask them, what is it that you're good at? And they are telling me so many stories. I'm like, I don't even understand anything you say. From today henceforth, everybody here must have a what? Ask your neighbor, what business are you in? And if you don't feel anything they have said, tell them you go work on your elevator pitch. Because an elevator pitch is supposed to connect with others emotionally. It has nothing to do with you. It's what can you do for me, not what you can do for me. So, package what? Package yourself. As you're putting together your CV, as you're putting together whatever application document, whatever, an email, an SMS. Man, you know, there was this competition here about people who are below 35. We have a big problem. We have a huge problem. Someone sends me a message on WhatsApp. They want me to look for a job for them, but they are speaking to me in Sheng. Are they packaged themselves? You need to learn how to package yourself. You can, I'm telling you, you can have the best credentials in the room, but you're poorly packaged and you will not sell. You can have average credentials, but you have packaged yourself extremely well, and guess what? You will get business. So packaging yourself will attract opportunities that will pay you well. Packaging yourself will attract opportunities that will pay you well. So have we solved the issue of those people who don't have money to invest? Have we solved that one? Okay, so now we are assuming everybody in this room has what? Has money. So when money comes, what do? You go to the next P. And the next P is pay yourself. Say what? Pay yourself. Now, I'm going to say a few things here. We go to work to mobilize capital, not to pay bills. Am I shaking things here? We go to work to mobilize capital, not to pay bills. If you pay bills with everything that you are earning, with your first income, your second income, your future jobs, guess what? You have committed your life to poverty. I am sorry, I'm coming with tough truths to tough love. Tough love. The first time, remember, it was Paul. Paul was here. He said, take the amount of money that you earn in a month, multiply by 12, and then multiply by the number of years that you've been working, and then ask yourself, where did all that money go to? Nowhere in that pie chart. And that day I woke up. He said, the greatest real estate on earth is you. Why am I saying that? All the money that we make, who makes it? It comes from this body, isn't it? It comes from your mind, it comes from it. You are the producer. You are the center of production. So, if you are the center of production, what should be the first thing you should be servicing? The center of? And that is you. So pay yourself. If you're not paying yourself, again, I'll tell you here, you have committed your life to poverty. It does not matter how much money you earn, whether you earn 10 million a month or 100,000 a month, I can tell you exactly how 20 years you will be. You will still be in the rat race. And when all is said and done, and you're done with your prime years, you will just retire like many others who we think will never retire like them. So, there is no option but to pay yourself first. If you earn 1,000 shillings in a month, please pay yourself first. Even if it is 1 shilling, it is an act of faith. It's an act of obedience. It's an act of saying, I can do it. If you can pay yourself 1 shilling or 10 bob out of 1,000 bob, then I can tell you, you'll also be able to pay yourself when you get 1 million. But if you can't, even when you get 1 million, it will still be too little because your expenses will be growing much faster than your income. Are we together? Tuendelee ama tusiendelee? I am happy to stop there. So, where do you pay yourself first? I know that question will come. Please, and I'm not selling, open a money market account. Hata kama ni old mutual. open a money market account. What is a money market account? A money market account is where we park money before we decide what to do with it in the long run. Park yourself. Park money in a money market account. By the way, at Nabo Capital tuko na money market fund. So, all mutual, we can share. Is that okay? We can share. The cake is too big. What we want, as guys, we are evangelists. We just want all of you to do well. Okay. So, now, you have paid yourself. You have packaged yourself. Then you have done what? You have paid yourself. So what comes next? Production. Everybody say production. Production. I listened to Elon Musk, and he was talking about the concept of money. I don't want to quote Elon Musk word for word, but this is exactly what he said. He was saying the richest folks use money to produce goods and services to solve the most difficult human pain points. Can I repeat that? The richest folks, they use money to produce goods and services so they can solve human pain points. But what do the rest of us do? We use money to pay bills and indulge in entertainment. I am akileo ninachokoza watu, but it is all good. Mindset. So what is money to you? You know, if your idea of money is wrong, you will never get the game of money right. So your mindset about money must change. So you have been putting money in money market fund. You started with 20,000 bob, and now you found yourself with 7 million shillings. Guess what? Opportunities start looking for you. Opportunities have a way of smelling people with money. So you find someone is selling a salon because they are in trouble, they are in financial distress. You have been going there, you have been a client. Yeah? And you can see they have huge clientele, they cannot even service the demand, but they missed one or two things, and guess what? They say, I need to sell this thing. Say, how much? Now you can even be bold to say, how much? How much? You say, 5 million. You say, where do I send the check? Now you've entered what? Production. The richest folks use money to produce goods and services so that they can solve what? Human pain points. So, I am not saying you stop consuming. Please continue consuming. We've agreed with Paul. It is good to enjoy life, but you must be involved in production if you're going to see your life changing drastically. Amen? I'm a preacher, by the way, so I do business as I'm preaching. So, I want to say this. Wealth creation is an art of production, not consumption. Wealth creation is an art of production, not consumption. So, and I will add this, your job will make you a living. Your job will make you a living, but production will make you a fortune. Your job will make you a living, but production will make you a fortune. Just look at the richest folks in the world. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. Who else? Yeah, Mark, isn't it? All of them are involved in what? Production. So production is key. But you cannot go to production if you've not been paying yourself. So now, when you are involved in production, you've entered into the catalysts of the economy. and you start generating cash flows. Because if you're solving human pain point, sorry, I've remembered something. Something I used to say a long time ago. If you want to be rich, impose yourself in other people's budgets. If you want to be rich, impose yourself in other people's. I was working for the landlord. So many of you, you'll be surprised. I promise you, you work for other people other than yourself. What have they done? They've imposed yourself in your budget. How many people here budget for airtime? All these other people don't call? I can see all the phones here. All of you. Safaricom has imposed itself on your budget. Shareholders, I'm a shareholder of Safaricom. We make money from you. So continue. Continue. You get, eh? So, when you are involved in production, you impose yourself in other people's budgets. And when people are budgeting, they say this money goes to Pius, this money goes to Isaac, this money goes to, they quote the company, but really it is me behind the company. You get, eh? That is the sweetness of it, eh? And now you have really gotten into the highways of cash flows. They are coming to you. So now, as the cash flows are coming, you need to be doing something else. You need to enter into the fourth P. And the fourth P is portfolio. Say portfolio. You need to build a portfolio. Portfolio is where you direct all the cash flows. So even as your business is producing the cash flows, your business must also pay you, isn't it? You're paying yourself from your business. And these cash flows are going into your portfolio. As they enter into your portfolio, you start building what you call a storehouse. There is one scripture that really comes to mind. It is Genesis 41, verse 38. And it says, "And Pharaoh said to his servants, 'Where can we find such a man as this, in whom the Spirit of God is?'" It was the day Joseph was called forth from the dungeon, and he appeared before the king. And the king was so disturbed, and he advised the king that there is going to be 7 years of abundance and 7 years of famine. And he advised the king, please build storehouses where we can build enough storage for 7 years. And now, out of all the advisors of Pharaoh, you can imagine how mighty the man was. This is the only man who had such wisdom. To build a what? A storehouse. That wisdom, then, is still very valid today. If you are running your business and you are going about your home without building a storehouse, you are running without a very important piece of wisdom. You must have a what? A storehouse. Now, let me say this. Your job or business is your workplace, but your portfolio is your storehouse. I am trying to distinguish these two things. Your job or business is your what? Is your workplace. But your portfolio is your store place. And the store place is the differentiator. The store place is the differentiator. Because these businesses will come to an end at some point. Who remembers, okay, this is probably for 35 years and above, who remembers a company that was called Kodak? Do you use their products anymore? No. This was one of the largest employers in the world. In fact, you can say they were in the same league with the Amazons of this world today. But technology came, changed, and now they are no longer, they are not even visible. My children don't even know what Kodak is. So, if you are here and you're running a very good business, I want you to imagine that there is going to become a time that is going to be what? Obsolete. So, build a what? Build a storehouse. Where do we build a storehouse? By building a portfolio. So, what is a portfolio? Because I know that question is coming. So your portfolio is an assembly of ammunition of assets that generate a constant cash flow, stream of cash flows without you showing up at work. A portfolio is where that money that you have been producing, it goes there, then professionals put together assets, they buy assets, different assets, and those assets are bought purposely to generate cash flows so they can fund your lifestyle, so they can fund your life, independent of your business. And this money shows up in your bank account without you ever going to work. And that's the key. That is the key. When do you get to have cash flows coming into your bank account without you having to go to work? Because then, if you get there, you have gotten to a very sweet spot. And that is where we are all trying to go. You remember there was a question, where are you running towards? For me, this is where I'm running towards. A place where cash is coming to my bank account when I'm seated here. In 2013, a survey was done, and it was discovered that Warren Buffett was making $1.5 million every hour, even when he was sleeping. $1.5 million every hour, even when you were? The key words are what? Even when he was? So ask your neighbor, how much money are you making while you're sleeping? If you are not making money while you're sleeping, then you must be running away from something. Are you together? So, that is the idea, which now brings us to the final P, which is passive income. Say passive income. Passive income is the money that shows up in your bank account without you showing up at work. Now, if you have to show up at work for money to show up in your bank account, then you are running on something we call active income. There was a question that was asked on the floor. Can you go on holiday for 6 weeks and your business continues running? Let's forget about the people who are employed. I'm talking about the people who are running businesses. If you are running a business and you cannot take a 6-week to 6-month holiday, you are running on active income, and you are as good as somebody who is employed. Have I touched something? Have I touched something? So, you want to run your business to an extent, it does not need you. Only then can you say, now, I am not employed. In fact, any business that cannot run for 6 weeks, or let's call it even 6 months without you going bankrupt, is called a kiosk. It is I'm sorry I'm using tough words, but forgive me. You called me. I have to tell you the truth, isn't it? But it is a kiosk with potential. We can upgrade it. That is, I am here so that you upgrade it. So passive income is money that shows up in your bank account without you ever showing up at work. And now, that is where we get true financial freedom. Because when money starts showing up in your bank account, like Warren Buffett, $1.5 million, not every day, every hour. The guy wakes up and does what he loves to do every single day of the year. And that's how you get to true financial freedom. Have I taught you something? So, that is, those are the 5 P's. Can we go through the 5 P's? What is the first one? Package yourself. The second one? The third one? The fourth one? The fifth one? Hey, clap for yourself. So I want to send you guys with an assignment. 2 assignments, just 2 questions. How much passive income is coming to your family every month? Just write it down. Ata kama ni 0, please be honest. Just write it is 0. Now, the second assignment, from today henceforth, I want you to start tracking your passive income. Month by month, month by month, month by month. As long as that number is growing, I can assure you, you're going somewhere. And where you're going is where we all want to go, because that place is called true financial freedom. So, I will finish with this. Two quotes. Number 1 is from Bill Gates. He said, if you were born poor, it was not your fault. But if you die poor, it is your fault. The second one is from Pius Mushiri. You can write it down. Your job or your business is your side hustle. But your portfolio is your core business.
Eish.
I repeated that. Your job or your business is your what? Side hustle. But your portfolio is your core business, because your children will not inherit your job or your business. They will inherit your portfolio. Thank you very much. God bless all of you.
Let's appreciate Pius. Please stand on stage because the questions are many. Did you feel at some point to stand up and say, preach it? Yes, Pastor, because some of the core messaging here has made us uncomfortable, right? Do you remember what I said when we were starting? Keep an open mind, be curious, and most of all, be vulnerable. Sasa ndio hii. So ukisikia sherehe ikisema unasema ndio mimi huyo. Ukisikia ati pesa zinatengezwa kama umelala, unajua hapo hauko. You know, vitu kama hivi. It's good to be very, very okay with where you're at for you to make any step forward, right? Okay, so the questions, I see the ushers are walking around. There are so many questions that have been fielded, and I said we need to do this whilst he's still here so that you hear it from the man himself. And as we do that, any questions? Let's first see your hands so that we know where to take the microphone. Okay, let's start there. By the way, if there's a gift for best participant, that lady needs to get it. What's your name again?
My name is Sandra.
Sandra,
Yes.
ulikuja. Unajua shida zako. I don't know what you're running from or towards, but we see you running.
I'm running towards.
All right, so what's your question for Pius?
So thanks for a very informative session. I think what I'd want to ask is, you've said we build up our portfolio. So I'm employed. I do happen to work for a place that gives me options, and I get some of this education as well. However, I think it would be best to just understand, yes, we're being tasked to build a portfolio, but where do I start? Where do I start with my 5,000 that someone said, hey, happy birthday? Where do I start with my 1,000? Because yes, some of us are working, but of course there's also someone who's here they're in campus, someone just started their first gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so just like Gentrick said, siku njema huanza na you have received. So when you have received, what do you do?
Yeah. So it's a good question. And remember I said money market account is the place where we park money as we decide on what to do with it in the long term. So even when something is in demand, there's always a waiting area. When you go a place, there's a waiting
area.
So put your money in a money market account. Anybody here who doesn't have a money market account, please open a what? A money market account. By the way, we have a product called Chums. It's on your phone. We take as little as 5 shillings, 5 bob. By the time I leave this stage, if you go there, you will already be in a money market fund.
But the question here is, Pius, so why can't I keep it in my bank? What's the difference?
Thank you very much. Now, if you put money in a bank, okay, first of all, we need to distinguish a bank from an investment company. A bank is there to help us to transact with one another. That is the core principle of having banks. So that's why when you put money in a bank account and you do not call anyone in the bank, they will never give you any interest.
Now you see the difference? And how good can it get when it comes to
they
interest?
are assuming that money is transactional. It is just there for a few hours or a few days, then it goes. Okay? So that's the assumption. But if you put money in a money market account, it is assumed is supposed to yield some results or some fruits for the person who has put it here. So you do not call anyone to negotiate for any rate. You automatically start earning from the day that money lands there.
Maybe you can just, whet our appetite. What percentages are we talking about? General.
Thank you. Now, we have been having a very interesting season this year. I have been in this industry for about 20 years, but I have never seen what I'm seeing today. Today's money market funds are at about 16-17%.
Wangwana, are we together? Okay.
So if you go to any of the fund managers, including Nabo Capital, you will see the different rates. I am, let me leave it there.
Tuachie hapo. You who has eyes, see. You who has ears,
Here.
yeah. Another question on this side? Yes. Kindly stand. Is it on? Just long press if it's not. Yes.
Okay, I think it's on now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just curious to know, how do we get over? Okay, the reason why I started an MMF first was because of an emergency fund in case anything goes wrong. But how do you move from just keeping money for a rainy day to, okay, now I think I'm comfortable, I can now start investing or using that money to start a business?
Good question. Because now we've parked our money and we are paying self very religiously. So what would we do from there?
Fantastic question. Now, I want to say again, we as investment professionals, we are like doctors. Your need is very different from her need. So we do not issue malaria queen to everybody. I'm just using it figuratively.
Yes.
So we sit down with our customers and we do something that we call investment plan. An investment plan is something that is designed specifically for you. We're asking you, where are you going? What is it what are you running away from? There was a question that was asked here. If you lost your job today, or if your business came to a halt today, would you be able to afford the same lifestyle? So, one of the things, if you can't, one of the things that we'll immediately recommend to you, you need to have something called a lifestyle portfolio. A lifestyle portfolio his intention is to wean you off your salary so that you can be able to live off the cash flows of that portfolio without your salary when that day comes. So we start from there and we build forward. There are many other types of portfolios that we can go into.
So you need to see a financial advisor.
You need to see a financial
Yes.
advisor.
So it's time to now start knocking on the right doors for people to walk with you on this journey, because as we've found out, having the education and being literate, two different things. One more question before we can allow Pius to leave.
Excuse me, Gladys.
Yes.
I love the amount of hands up.
Oh, there you go. This is Richie. By the way, let's appreciate this dude. Amefanya kazi yake yote. Thank you, Richie.
In fact, today I am not Richie. Today I am the digital MC, and I am the KYM for all the people who are not here but who are watching on the live stream.
Thank you.
And therefore I am here to represent them and ask a question that somebody has asked on the live stream. You talked about a bank account and you've talked about an MMF, but somebody in the live stream asked, and unfortunately I can't, they're asking, why can't I then put my money in a SACCO?
Thank you. I love these questions.
I know, they're just advancing, slowly too.
Now, I want you to understand that all these are financial institutions, but each financial institution has a purpose or a mandate for it. Now, why does a bank exist? A bank exists so that we can be able to transact. If there are no banks, we'll never be able to exchange money. Done. Why do SACCOs exist? SACCOs came specifically to solve a problem that we were experiencing, where the banks were focusing on lending money to institutions and especially multinationals. So all the rest of us were left out because, as somebody said here very ably, our credit worthiness was questionable. There was no CRB. Who is that wonderful lady? Yeah. There was no CRB. I hope I'm not misrepresenting you. So we needed a reference point. Yes. So the SACCOs came in so that people can put money together as a community, and then they can guarantee each other and reduce that risk of default. So if you happen to be here and you're in a SACCO and you're not borrowing, I am sorry. You are funding other people. Because the greatest benefit you can ever find in a SACCO is borrowing, and you borrow at 12% even when rates are at 19%. Now, so a SACCO is not a place for investing. A SACCO is a place for borrowing. In fact, the SACCO regulations have been challenged so much because of all of you trying to invest that every SACCO is now trying to come up with an investment company. But now, this is where it becomes, I want to say this, very important. All these institutions are governed by different laws and regulations. And these laws and regulations are out to protect you. So the SACCO laws are there to protect borrowers. Isn't it? The bank laws are there to protect depositors. And the capital market laws are there to protect investors. So are you speaking to me as an investor, as a borrower, or as a depositor? If you're speaking to me as an investor, the best place, the laws that protect you are in what? In investment. So come to a fund manager if you want to invest, and your money will be safe. And that's how you avoid Ponzi schemes. All Ponzi schemes are formed outside the regulation. Thank you very much.
You had to go there again. Kendi, unaona vile watu tu wanatuanika. We learned our lesson, brother, but that's a very critical point he puts out there. So at this point, I know we have so many other questions, but Pius really needs to leave. So what I would encourage you to do is ensure that you engage him. As we said, when you talk about the company, you really are talking about Pius. So all this knowledge, he will give it to you, all right? But remember, they say for you to make money, you've got to spend money. All right? And that's a whole conversation altogether. But if you start packing your money in the MMF, you'll have a fee to be able to go see Pius, right?
Thank you.
All right, let's appreciate Pius one more time.
Thank you.
Where are we in as far as learning is concerned? How long is your list now on your notebook? Have we turned a few pages? I have just seen people saying, where? Eh? As in if sentences could be made with this, eh? But I'm glad that you're getting aha moments, because that is exactly why this forum was actually put together. It is such a good place to start, and of course we will further engage with these experts to help you now start on your own journey or further the same. Now, even as we prepare for the next conversation, we need an extra seat. Yeah. The next conversation, there's somebody who I greatly admire, and they always tell me, 2 is 1, and 1 is none. 2 is, and 1 is. What does that mean? Now, in his example, he would say if he was to go to a supermarket and pick up his favorite item, and he knows the item he cannot do without because it has been part and parcel of their lives, they don't take just one item, they take 2. You know why? This our Kenya where you buy one thing and then it is out of stock and then you're left wondering what to do. At least by the time you're figuring out the next suppliers, you still have 1 in case you run out of the first one. Again, 2 is 1, 1 is none. Ukiishiwa sasa, si umeachwa tu hivyo mata. All right? This actually applies even when it comes to our finances. And if there's a time that applied to the T, was during COVID. You and your one job, and unfortunately everything came to a close. What happened? We all know what happened. A lot of people were pushed out of jobs. Businesses literally came to a halt. So if you did not have multiple streams of income, there was nothing to fall back on. Again, 2 is 1, 1 is. Please, let's make note of that. Even as we go into this conversation that will entail panelists as we discuss the importance of having multiple streams of income. Now, you have been told that this needs to be part and parcel of your portfolio, and the question is always, how do I do that? I have an 8 to 5. Masaa ya kufanya hii kazi ingine, kazi za giza inatoka wapi? Tuseme ukweli, right? And there are some people who've actually made it so well, made it so good for themselves, the employer is actually now the side hustle, right? Do we have people like that? Who the 8 to 5 is the side hustle because the other side hustles are actually giving you more than that, right? Hands up so that we can say, Igwe. All right, I see people are being humble, but understand this, hold on to this statement. 2 is 1, 1 is none. Let's apply that to our financial literacy, and in this case, how do we have, or the importance of having multiple streams of income and how we actually actualize it. And to help us along is Robert Abojani. He is the MD of Abojani Investment. Is he here? Please let's appreciate him. Robert. Please appreciate him even as he comes on stage. And we have Timothy Masharia from KCB. Is he here? Mpigeni makofi tafadhali. Please make your way on stage. So again, even for this one, please ready your questions. We can do a quick fire side chat with this gentleman, even as we understand how to realize it. So please, let's appreciate them one more time. Gentlemen, karibuni sana. And just like we have done with the other panelists, it's good to actually just know who you are and why you are invested in this conversation, financial literacy. I'll start off with you, Timothy.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you so much. There's a lot of light here, so if you see me struggling, don't worry. My name is Timothy Masharia. I head investments, wealth management at KCB Investment Bank. I am your age mate, a lot of you. I think here majority are sub 35. So I'm part of the team, so I'm learning as we learn. The reason actually I am here and I am very passionate about this discussion is this. I'm very intrigued most of the times by the cumulative nature of knowledge in science. And what I mean by that is, if you look back 2 centuries ago, nothing moved faster than the speed of horse, right? And what you've seen is that we can see the accumulation of knowledge. And today, it just takes possibly 15 hours for Candy to be here. She was away, right? And we appreciate that kind of innovation. Even 50 years ago, you know, a disease as simple as a flu used to kill people. Mortality rate used to be high, but today is not there. But what disappoints me is the way financial knowledge has never grown. Financial understanding is such nonsense to everyone, such that today Gladys and Dory are talking about how not Dory, Candy, are talking about how they lost money in Ponzi scheme. I can be sure that in another 100 years, if nothing's done, people will be losing money on Ponzi schemes. So accumulation of financial understanding has never moved. And that is the stopper we have to put, so that our children are never having discussions in such a forum.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's a good place to start. Robert, why does this matter to you?
Okay, this matters to me because I learned something several years ago, that wealth is cumulative. You cannot see that upfront, but if I tell you, for example, the Kenyan banking sector, in the year 2006, around there, the total assets, you'd hear that they are around 600 billion, around there, 400 billion. But as we speak now, they are over 7 trillion. So if you are not connected to it, life will be the same for you throughout. But when you connect, you'll always hear circles are at 100 billion, a few years they're at 1 trillion. So it means that what has been shared by Pius, that if you start building a portfolio and you are consistent, it will always grow. So the advantage that you have on you is time. So time favors those who are consistent, and we have to make a connection and now create a journey. So that's basically what I've been doing. So I managed to do that for myself for like 14 years. So I would say it allowed me to move from corporate to a startup, some sort of semi-retired. So the portfolio that Piers was talking about, it has no emotions, it just gives you money and sustains your life.
I love that. Feelings, Jamini, we put them on the side. So we're talking about how, or the importance of having a multiple stream of incomes. And we have said 2 is 1, 1 is none. COVID made it absolutely clear that we need to do more than just rely on that one source of income. To start off, and I think at this point I will allow Timothy to handle the 35 years old and below. And of course, 35 and above will be handled by Robert. So starting with the 35 and below, where do they start? Because the feeling is perhaps they don't have enough experience to have the multiple streams of income. But what does that look like for a 35-year-old and below?
Thank you, Gladys. My response is this, and I'll start by saying, is first the way we look at money. And when we talk about money, for 35 and below, I like to look at it from what I call economic capital perspective. Economic capital perspective has two folds. Fold number one is financial capital, the money that we are saying that we don't have because we are young. But fold number two is something called human capital. Human capital, the ability to generate money. And so those two are very tied. And because sometimes the human capital is not seen, we tend to neglect it. And everyone is talking about how do I save. Now, when you're young, you have more of human capital than financial capital. Because human capital is a function of time. If Paul was here, says that he's retired, his human capital is very little right now. But the lady who was 12 years old there, the human capital is enormous. Now, human capital are like resources in a country. You need to invest to dig them up. The reason why Africa is poor, notwithstanding they have resources, because we can't dig the resources. Yeah? So you need to invest on your human capital, your ability to earn. Because here we are talking about financial capital and building portfolios. You can't build portfolio from nowhere. Money, you have to have money, is it? So concentrating on human capital, propping up your human capital, learning new skills, being out there, that is number one. And so that as time goes, as you shrink your human capital, because it's a function of time, by the time I'm 40, I'm 45, I have now substituted financial capital so that I'm talking about my economic capital has grown. Because economic capital is you add human capital plus financial capital. So what is my economic capital? What is my economic value?
Okay, so at this point, when you talk about human capital, you've touched on, working on your skill sets. Is there another or a few others that perhaps we can look into when you talk about human capital?
Yeah, so let me say this, and I'm happy that Dory here has possibly worked in finance and possibly dealt with people from possibly a HR perspective and advisory. This is the thing. The world today has changed dramatically, and my world, possibly, my world, the current I am, and the 12-year-old there are very different. What you need to do is that you have to be a constant life learner. You have to be learning skills, otherwise, there are people here who, anyone in campus here? Someone in campus at the university? Thank you. There's someone in the university. And I can tell you, there's a possibility that the time you graduate, all the knowledge you've studied is obsolete. There is that possibility, yeah? Because our academic life has not caught up with the kind of knowledge that is needed in the actual job situation. And actually, institutions are investing so much to retrain you. You can retrain yourself. The beauty is education has been democratized, so you cannot blame anyone. Number two, just to say that, especially for us who are now transiting, I'm 32 years old, so I'm 3 years old to possibly not being a youth, right?
And the government reminds you with a text message.
And I'm very worried out of that because,
yes.
I stopped enjoying the benefit. But as I'm transiting, there's something also called sunk cost. Some people are not willing to adjust their life because you have invested so much on that skill. You're not ready to have a conversation that, yes, nilienda university, nimesomea e-course, but manze e-course kuna vile. You don't want to accept that, but that is a situation that, or a conversation that you have to have with yourself. That the course is obsolete. AI can do whatever I'm doing today. So what do I do next? Yeah, it brings a conversation we call the learnway. You remember Kasim said here about the learnway? The human capital learnway, right? It can be 2 years, it can be 3 years, but today, every person's human capital is at risk, and you need to consistently prop it up.
So self-development is very key at this age
Right.
group. Okay. All right. So for those that are 35 plus, the government has made it clear you cannot access certain government, advantages. Robert, what do we look into when it comes to multiple streams of income?
Yes, so I would say I will still insist on the portfolio. So what I learned back in 2010, I have a financial advisor as well. So that's something that I took seriously. People think that if you're in the financial services industry, then you know everything. So
Wanasema waganga hawajigangi. You've got to get somebody to also keep you accountable.
Correct, just for accountability. So what I would say is that you need to have someone to hold you accountable. They can be a friend, of course not a blabbermouth, but they should be someone who has skills that can help you so that you ride the waves, because there are a lot of things happening along the way. So the idea of a portfolio, I call it wealth basket. So a wealth basket is basically resources that can do a lot of stuff on your behalf. Because you'll realize that in life's journey, if you ask a typical household, think of the things that you worry about when it comes to money, and now start creating problems to solve them. So for me, by that time, I was guided on how to work on things like school fees. So I'd already been taught about it even before I had kids. So you always have to think ahead and see that. A financial plan will help you to know that. For example, we plan to go for holiday in December. Start thinking about it now. If you start thinking about it too late, then your idea about money will always be worrying. So these are the people who maybe in the last 10 years, they were in a position to have saved, let's say, 50,000 per month. They didn't save, but now they are blaming economy and everyone. So what I would say at that age, be keen on a portfolio of wealth and look at ways also to start consolidating. something that happens to most of us, including it happened to me. It is a stage in life where we just buy plots left, right, and center, and we are unstoppable. So once you get back to your senses, you can think of consolidating.
Nasikia watu wa Broti, Maguta. Yes, tuko wengi.
Yes. So you might find you have 6, they are all over. Have the courage to even sell 3 of them and consolidate, because that money that you have now in cash and it is generating passive income that Paz was talking about, it is what will now create that portfolio. I can say that currently on an annual basis, I have money that can work for me for like 4 months. You get it? Then you increase it to 6 months, because it is a journey. And wealth baskets in Kenya, you typically will need 2 big ones. So number 1 is home ownership, and number 2 is financial freedom / retirement. And there are numbers, they're not related to age. You get it? So if you want to build a house or own a home, you need to know how much you do need. So that's very, very important. Because now what happens is that when you don't have that number in mind, when you are in age 35 and above, there's something called home ownership bag. So you have kids, you have a family, and you'll just say, there's no way my friend Dolly is coming to visit me and I don't have a house. Then you run to the bank. And most of the times, people make emotional and not financial decisions. So remember, personally, I'm from IT or tech background, and I got into finance. So finance is very logical, by the way. It's very logical. And the disadvantage is that as human beings, we are driven mostly by emotions and feelings. So you have to know that you have to make logical decisions. So when you are budgeting, make logical decisions. If you need 100,000 as a family to go for holiday, it is a number, right? So it doesn't depend on how much you love your family, you know. You either have the money or not. So if you put the love ahead of the reality, that's when you go to take a loan now to show love. You get it? So you're creating more problems. But you can see clearly when you plan, you'll get things better. So things like school fees, let's take a practical example. I want this to be as practical as possible. Let's say you have a child in class 6. Sorry to use the old system. There used to be class 6, right? So you've seen already this child is very bright. You know, they might be from a very humble background, but by class 6, they're number 1, they're doing things well. And you can already estimate that they're going to be getting a calling letter from Starehe or Alliance. So let's say now when they're in class 6, the first month, January, you start putting 20,000 Kenya shillings per month. At the end of the year, how much will you have? 240. Plus interest above that. So by the time they complete school, you might even have over 750,000. It is much easier to do it that way than when now the calling letter is here. Then you find a family with pieces of land worth 20 M. They're saying that they're too poor to afford school fees of 200,000 because all the money is stuck in the hard assets. So when you reach age 35 and above, look at ways to optimize your portfolio and try to think ahead of the needs that you have. You know, if you want to go for holiday, if you start 12 months ahead, you are a very smart person who has succeeded in business or career. Believe me, you'll get ideas on how to start putting some money aside. So that's very, very important. And the wealth baskets, just to finalize, look at them as things that you can grow progressively. It is a journey, right? You can be at 500,000 over time, 2 million, 10 million, and then you look at, if you want 200,000 Kenya shillings per month, see yourself on a journey to 20 million. What I see these days, someone will come and tell me as the financial planner that they see themselves retiring with a passive income of 300,000 Kenya shillings per month. But if you tell them that for that one you'll need 30 million, their mind cannot even process 30 million. But see now when you start at age 35, maybe you'll be there by age 50. So you take advantage of time and then know your numbers and work towards them. And when you own that journey, then you'll be able to go to KCB, go to different financial services companies and walk the journey with them.
Okay, and I love that you've talked about that, and now you can see how these intertwine, because this is the one person who is progressively growing, not only age-wise, but also on their financial journey. So, Timothy, just listening to him, those are bigger goals, but it starts when you're 35 and below. So you have a regular income, all right? You have perhaps your salaried, maybe you're employed, or you have a business that's bringing in money. So how now do we leverage to get a passive income? Because we're saying we want more than just one stream of income. 35 and below. How do you set yourself up to be that retiree or successful older person who put their money right at that age?
Thank you, thank you. So two things. When you're 35 and below, there's two things that is with you. One, you have great potential, but then the question is that, and I like differentiating money, and money is in two ways. Money, there is making money, you know. There's making money and there is keeping money, yeah? You have to make money for you to keep it, is it? Mm-hmm. So when you're young, you have making money is a function of putting yourself out there, taking risks, and being lucky. I know you're laughing, but you cannot discount luck. The reason why Gladys is here and is a presenter, if you just removed one variable from her life, she cannot be here. One variable. So it's a function, but keeping money is the exact opposite. You have to be cautious and you have to manage risks. If you have to keep money, but making money you have to risk. Now, when it's coming to now you making money, because it's multiple streams of income. Right now you're working. And one way to make money is to make passive income, and you need to save. You need to save, and we have had a good session here of how you can start with a basic money market fund. Mm-hmm. But I'd like to put on you why it is very extremely important for you to do that. You see, for you to be able to take risks and make more money, the two sides of risk is their willingness, that I'm willing to take risks, but also affording the risk. It's like eating. For you to eat, you have appetite and food. Yes? Yes. For you to say that you're eating, there has to be appetite and there has to be food. Having appetite with no food is a wasted appetite.
Yes.
I don't know when I'm communicating, right? So when it comes then to risking, you might be willing to risk, but you can't afford it because the ability to risk. So the reason why then you're even saving and putting this money is because of this. Candy talked about when she was young, the way she used, for her to be here, she can tell you, she had been to so many companies. You have to shift jobs for you to be added some income. Now, shifting jobs is risky because the new employer will put you on a probation. We need to test you. You have come here, shown on the interview, how do I know whether you climbed or someone tutored you on how to perform here, right? Yeah. I need to see you work. I'm not hiring for interview, I'm hiring for someone who can do the job. I put you on a probation for 6 months, we can decide, I think you're not the kind of person we are looking for, and please look for another employer. Now, for you then to be able to take a risk that I am going to another employer, you have to have prepared yourself enough, because it's a risk, that in case this does not work out, I'll have a runway to look for another employer.
Okay.
The reason why most of us are stuck, or most of you are stuck in some jobs, is because you cannot take the risks. You cannot take the risk because you can't afford it. Yes, you are willing. You want to progress. But you're not very sure why you can prove yourself. And number two, if you don't prove yourself, so what? Yeah?
The fear of the unknown.
Exactly. You see here, for people, even when we came here, the roads, because of the rains, have potholes a bit, right? But cars are still moving. Because Toyota knows that I can't control, or whatever car you're driving, they know they cannot control the condition of the road. But I can build a car that, you know, has some shock absorbers, notwithstanding the pothole, or even the planes. Yeah? The manufacturer Airbus or Boeing knows that there'll be turbulence. I cannot control when it comes, neither can I predict it. But I can build a car that is resilient to those turbulence. Now, having that buffer, that income that is set aside, it is for shock absorbing. You cannot project how it will be, right? COVID has taught us the best lesson, right?
Yes.
That jobs can evaporate, yeah? We can all stay at home and still life continues. We can, there can be curfews and you work at night. So the reason why you need as a young person to put that buffer is for you to afford the risks to make more money. Because making money you have to take. To take risks, you have to be there.
Okay, so how do we go beyond now the savings and now start building on the passive income because we want to own a home later on when we are beyond a certain age?
Good. I'll say what Paya said here. You see, when it comes to our goals to wealth, they have a different path. A lot of people will come to me and ask, where do I invest? Yeah? That is asking, like, what is the best road? The best road is a function of the destination, is it? So you start with the money market fund and decide that I need to push this to a certain extent. Now, money market fund is what is an entry product. But there are other financial products that you can tap in. You can do treasury bills, yeah? You know treasury bills? You know what are treasury bills, yeah? Now you scale up. Minimum in our treasury bill is 100,000. So if you have 10,000, you cannot invest in treasury bill, but you can pack money in the money market fund until it gets to 100,000, and then you migrate. Are we together? Yes. The same thing, you can save and do a treasury bond, which will give you 18% net of tax, yeah? And then you can pack it there. The thing is, then you have to define some goals. And I usually say this. In life, there are two types of goals. There's what we call labeled goals. Like, I want to buy a car. That is a labeled goal. Or my wife is pregnant, and she's going to give birth. Yeah? And all I want to pay school fees. That is a labeled goal. But there are unlabeled goals. That I know that I don't want to be where I am in another 10 years. Because again, you see, I usually say this, work with a mindset that where you are, this is the best situations they can be. Where you are is the best conditions can be. So prepare that they can be worse. This is the bottom. This is the best it can be. So level it that way. And then decide that since I am projecting that things might not be so good up there, I need to have portfolios. Now, you have those portfolios and say that I have these portfolios, I have saved for 6 months emergency. Then number two, I have then to decide to build a portfolio. So I am now diversifying. I have a money market fund, 300,000. I have a treasury bill, possibly 1 million shillings. I have a bond which is a bit long term, 5 million. Yeah? All if you're not there is that you put a timeline. That is where I need to be. And then you start consistently working on those. When it comes to the issue also of taking risk, there are 4 things that you need to think about risks. And because a lot of us here are sandwich generation, let me say this. Risk has 4 facets. Number 1, you have 4 options. You can avoid risk. You can avoid? Risk. It's an option, is it? If it's avoidable. If it is avoidable. Number 2, you can retain risk. You can retain, is it? It's risky, I need to retain it. Number 4, you can transfer risk. Number 3, you can transfer risk. Okay? You can transfer risk. You can say, I need to transfer these risks, especially risks that cannot be avoided. You can transfer this. I'll give you a very good example. Health is a risk. Is it? For you who is in a business, you have saved that 1 million in a money market fund. Because the reason you have saved 1 million in a money market fund is not to pay a hospital bill, is it? The reason you have saved that 1 million is to grow your wealth. So you need to protect it. So you don't want tomorrow that your fork is in the hospital and now you have to fork the 1 million. So you need to say that I need a health insurance. That for my folks, for me to protect this 1 million, I need to get them a health insurance, especially inpatient. Outpatient, possibly you can afford. You can go to a mission hospital, pays 2,000. But you need to protect the inpatient. Here, 3 days of inpatient is 2 million shillings. So how do you make sure that you're not saving for hospital? That is a risk you cannot retain. Neither can you avoid, right? The best you can do is transfer. Okay? So you need to then say that I'll put a portfolio, and it's very simple. This portfolio, you can even say that this insurance that I'm paying, because I don't want to fork money out of my pocket and the hard work, I'll have this 1 million, 18% of 1 million is how much?
180.
Hey, 18% of 1 million is how much? 180,000. And say, because my folks might be sick and I don't want to risk my 1 million to take them to hospital, I'll buy an insurance of 100,000, which will give equivalent possibly of 1.5 million of inpatient cover, yeah? And I know that I have protected the downside.
Okay, so protecting your wealth at that point. Okay, so let's address, Robert, briefly for those that are 35 and above. You're not salaried, so you don't have that income coming in, but you have a business, so it's giving you something, or gig economy, we talked about it. So how do these now align themselves to ensure that when things go south, they still have something else that is cushioning them?
Yeah, so actually, for most entrepreneurs, and I believe you have quite a number of people in business, they tend to have irregular income. So we are insisting on you having a portfolio of wealth outside your business. And in wealth, whether you are employed or unemployed, you need to learn about a concept known as staying power. So staying power works this way. Let's say on a monthly basis, you need 50,000 Kenya shillings for expenses, whether in business or for personal use. So if you have 150,000 somewhere, it means you have 3 months worth of staying power. So that's how money works. So even for entrepreneurs, have a portfolio outside your business. So when COVID came, you saw those with zero staying powers. I won't name names, but there are some very famous hotels or restaurants that didn't make it, right? Yeah, but some survived the downtime because they had staying power. So always work to increase the staying power because what happens in personal finance, the situations are not shared. Personal finance is very personal. So if your income is irregular, then you need a different strategy. So it means you need to be very aggressive in terms of planning for your expenses. If you have salaries to pay every month, you need to know how much they are and try to always be ahead in terms of having money somewhere else. So I'll give you an example, like in some spaces that we've seen, if you have a dental clinic, the medics, some of them tend to work until their 70s or 75 because they're in a cash flow business. Money is always coming daily, but sometimes they forget to build passive income. But if you have staying power, it simply means that there's a time that your income can replace the revenues that you're expecting. So it's very, very important. So I always say things like school fees and such like stuff, have an annual budget, right? So you know that school fees is coming in May, August, stuff like that. So you need to start thinking about that well in advance. Because the salaried people, they're lucky. Money will come maybe tomorrow and school fees is due on Wednesday, right? They'll pay. But for entrepreneur, floods came from nowhere. We know our situations. So you cannot say that you're not like so-and-so is employed. Work with your situation. And when you work with your situation, you'll get ideas and try to be ahead, okay? Things like salaries, always try to have a portfolio of investments. The money market that we are talking about, you can get that money in 2 to 4 working days. So I can tell you that in some spaces like mine, getting good talent is hard. So if you start those stories of, oh, you know, salary will delay, what will happen? You'll remain there alone and you'll start from zero. So to ensure that, irrespective of the cash flow challenges, you have a way of still running the business, build staying power. Actually, the difference between a big business and a small business, in most cases, the big businesses, they have staying power. So if you look at KCB, for example, in terms of shareholders' funds or retained earnings, they have over 200 billion. You'll never hear them saying it anywhere, but that is why they are KCB. You get it? So they can have a tough 1 year, but they can still keep going. So I would really recommend that for entrepreneurs have such plans. He talked of medical insurance, health insurance. Ensure that you have that for inpatient. So what happens, like for example for Kenya, on a good day, you might never see the need of having Kenya Navy, Kenya Army, or the Air Force. But believe you me, the enemy can come at any given point in time, even 50 years from now, and you'll wish you had the armed forces. That's the reason why you need to think about insurance and protecting the downside. Remember, the wealth basket that you're building is actually something that you can extend to your lineage and is the output of a business. So output of a business is not vibes. It's not saying you are an entrepreneur. Over time, you better show us where is your 500,000, where is your 1M. You are an entrepreneur, my friend. Show us. You might not have it now because you are still growing, but over time, have an ambition. You know, wealth is measured in millions and billions. So have a strategy towards your 1M put somewhere else, grow it to 3M. And you see, the more you have that, the higher the output in terms of quality. You are thinking, you see, you'll be the one innovating now. As other people are worrying about today, you are thinking 5 months ahead. And you're able now to create more value for your customers. So I would say that is very, very important to work with your situation and always plan ahead. So have things like an emergency fund, which caters for those periods where the revenues are low or you have money issues, and also have a sinking fund. So a sinking fund, traditionally, having been in the banking sector, we have some information like very few people budget or plan for school fees, very few people plan for holiday, but there are known expenses that are coming ahead. So what you can do, take the school fees, multiply by 3 if you are working in 3 terms, then divide it by 12 and start setting it aside on a monthly basis. If it is too much, when you look at your budget, just know that you are spending too much on school fees, because that money is supposed to come from your monthly income if you are salaried.
Okay.
So it means that when the term is due, you have the money with you. So I would really insist on financial planning and thinking ahead so that you can start looking for ways to cover that.
And I think the two gentlemen both touched on the importance of not only growing your wealth, but also protecting it. And you start thinking about it when you're younger so that you're also not working towards, or rather, they say, there are very many memes. Unachota maji kama na kikapu ambacho kiko na shimo. So really, you're working towards nothing if you're not protecting it. Do we have any questions before we actually say goodbye to our gentlemen? Any questions in the crowd? Any clarifications? Do we have somebody? Yes, we do. Do we have the roving mics? Somebody, anyone? Okay, just say it out loud and perhaps I can articulate it for you. Can I amplify it for you? Okay, just stand up. Yes? You didn't get to? The fourth risk for the young. Yes.
The fourth risk is reduce. Reduce risk. Yeah? Reducing risk. You know, risk is a probability. It's a function of odds. Meaning that if I can get if there's a lot of accident on Thika Road, me not going to Thika Road is our way of reducing risks. It's reducing, yeah?
Yes.
Because I have to be there for the risk to happen. So you say, avoid, yeah? The second one is retain. The other one is transfer. And the fourth one is reduce. Yeah. So you have those 4 options. And the reason you have those 4 options is that you always have to weigh, is this risk I can retain? Is this risk avoidable? There are things you can't avoid, is it? Because you are a human being. Can you avoid being ill?
No.
Although you can reduce being ill if you are working out. Is it? I can reduce being ill if I'm fit, because they are what we call lifestyle diseases.
Yes.
I can reduce because I go to the gym and I eat healthy. But I cannot avoid, is it? So I have to transfer. I don't know whether it's making sense.
Does that make sense? All right. It looks like that has landed with a lot of people.
Yeah, thank you. And
right.
Number 2, us, 35 and below, one of our biggest risks and one of our biggest impediments to all this conversation are 2 things. And number 1 is FOMO. FOMO, fear of missing out. Kuna party, I don't want to hear stories, I want to experience it. Lazima, sitaki mniambia story, nataka kukua hapo. FOMO, watu wameenda Diani, niko na mia hapa, nilikuwa na save for emergency fund, lakini nataka wanipatie story next week. I want to be in the center of the. And the worst is, with social media, you are always being constantly reminding what you are missing out. That is social media for you.
Yes.
It's always reminding you that, hey, ona venye watu wanaishi, ni wewe tu huishi. So you have to manage your FOMO vulnerability. Are we together? FOMO, you don't have to be there. Actually, some of the experiences are so underwhelming if you compare the expenditure.
It is true.
They are so underwhelming. But you already spent, and you realize whether they are underwhelming after spending. So you have to manage your FOMO. And number 2 is signaling. You want to signal you have money. Yeah? And who doesn't want to be admired or envied? Even myself, yeah? So if I have 8 million shillings, I can either buy a Prado TX or I can have 8 million shillings. I can't have both. So I have to decide, do I want to keep money or have TX? So you have to manage your signaling vulnerability. I know you want to be admired. I want you to be liked. Now, especially, I am from Mushago. Me and Kendi can resonate.
Munaonana?
Kuna kitu inaitwa kwa revenge spending. Unaona watu walifanya madharau huko?
Watajua wewe ni nani?
Watu walimfanya madharau? Watu hata hako wanatuongelesha juu alikuwa sijui na Datsun. Wacha niwaonyeshe tumefika. That is because you're not sober. What Robert said is very important. We are emotional beings, and finances and money just exacerbate, or turbocharge our vulnerability. Because we overreact, So it will tend to exaggerate our overreaction, So you have to be very contained, and very sober, and very rational, and very decisive.
I think he's speaking to the people for tumia pesa ikuzoe. Please maintain yourself, manage yourself. So even I think that's a good way to even close for the 35 and above.
Yeah, let me add still on them. So usually for Yoyo, for YOLO, we have a very good comeback for you. Yeah, you are very smart. You came up with YOLO, but you have something known as Yoyo. So Yoyo is you are on your own. My friend, if you have an emergency now and you need 5 candy, call me. You can clearly see I'm in a panel. I'm not ready to receive your call. And then you'll hear friends are a scam. It's not friends who are a scam. Please just manage your money well, okay?
All right. Okay, I think let's leave it on that high. And if we have any questions going forward, we can fill them to both Robert and Timothy, not unless there's a burning parting shot from the gentleman.
Burning parting shot, I would just say, honestly, about the information age, please manage your source of information very well. Are we together? You've worked very hard for your money. You know the stress, waking up in the morning, rain and everything. So don't just log into social media, then you hear just anyone saying something, then you transfer the 400,000, the FOMO that is talking about. Please manage it and know that for information, even for economy, the economists, I don't follow anyone who is always blaming the government, because I believe that as investors, we are looking for opportunities. And there are opportunities. Even today, I believe most of us here, we spend some money, right? If you came here with an Uber or a little, you've already spent money. So that's already an opportunity for someone else. So I decided that I'm going to look at only the economists who are saying, yes, things are this way, but probably I think you should buy the dollar or something like that. So choose your sources of information carefully, because you have a disadvantage of the information age, which is also an advantage. Then finally, for everyone, please live in your generation. So these opportunities that are here, the AI that we are talking about, artificial intelligence, when we are 50, you're also going to turn 30 or 50. You'll be telling your grandchildren and children and friends, you know, there used to be a company known as Meta. Everyone used to be there. It made so many people millionaires, and I wish I knew. So take advantage of such opportunities. Like personally, I invested in a company known as Advanced Micro Devices back in 2015, and even NVIDIA. And there's a time I even invested in Ethereum. So just look at those opportunities in your generation that are going to grow with your generation, and you become part of it, so that you are not just a commentator, but you are participating in the game as an owner. Thank you.
Very well said. Please, let's appreciate Robert and Timothy. This was such an amazing session. Remember, you can follow up with them with any of the questions, and each of them, as they said, they are investment advisors, and they can actually meet you at your point of need. So again, appreciate the gentlemen. And I love the fact that we're being told to live in the day and age we are in, and the digital era is here with us, fair and square, and that's why I'd like to have Candy and, of course, Roy to come on stage, even as we talk about the role of technology in financial literacy. Please, let's appreciate those that are leaving and those that are coming on stage. Ati? At this rate, okay, fine. As people come on stage, it's okay. Just come on stage and then we can see what we can do. Okay, what's your question?
So this is for us.
Is the mic working?
I'm not sure.
It is.
Yes.
Oh, no, no, for us 35 and above, clearly.
I speak for self, my friend. Speak for self. Yes.
So my question, because you know, at our age and how we are going, we don't have the luxury of time.
Yes.
And we were talking about being aggressive with our financial journey. So my question was, I don't hear how we can also leverage access to credit as part of it and also towards financial freedom. So that was for Robert. Because I know credit is also good and bad as well, but there's a way we can leverage it.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me assure you, because we'll be having the breakout masterclasses for all the age groups, those questions will be answered. Is that okay? So that we can sit in the age group we're in, ask those that will be with us in those sessions to actually answer those questions you have. Is that fair? So that we don't rush through it. Sawa sawa? All right. So for now, let's welcome Kendi and Roy as I speak on the role of technology in financial literacy. And this one, we shall just let them have a chit-chat on stage. I think you can take it. Roy, you can take that one. And allow me to exit as you guys have a chit-chat. I'd also love to learn on this one.
You can hear me? Okay. So it will be brief because we know we are standing between you and lunch. And to the question you've asked, just to say, we will respond. In the afternoon, we're actually covering a bit about credit. So in the breakout sessions, that will be covered. Good afternoon. So nice to see us, as in we are seated learning. I'm learning so much. You should see how I'm typing. And then next to my accountability partner, asking her, so have you done? There's a lot that we are learning. I will have Roy introduce himself first.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks for having me. My name is Roy Njoka. I'm an entrepreneur, but also sit on the board of the Association of Fintechs in Kenya.
Thank you, Roy. So Gladys did mention, our host did mention that we want to just speak briefly about the role of technology. And the reason we cannot ignore tech in the space, it is Robert who's challenged us and said, live in your generation. And right now, tech is a fast track, can either fast track you in the right way or fast track you in the other negative way. So, and that's the reason we have Roy here, who represents, tell us a bit about Africa, actually. Yeah.
Great. So, APIC, basically, our mandate is, we have three main goals. The first is to proactively engage the government to make sure that the laws they are passing, well, us as fintechs, but also for you as our customers. So, a good example is the finance bill that passed last year. We contributed to that, just to make sure any clauses that were not sort of working for us, we're able to engage as a body and make sure that those kind of laws pass, in the right format. So that's the first thing. The second thing is innovation through partnerships. And what I mean by that is we open doors for all our members. So it doesn't matter if you're a small fintech or a large bank, we should be able to open any door for you. There's a partner you want to meet. And I think to that, we have a huge sort of event in June, which is going to be in Naivasha. And basically, we have Association of Fintechs from 40 countries coming in. So we'll be hosting that. And that's the kind of sort of engagement that we do. And then the final one, and part of the reason I'm here, is advocacy to drive financial inclusion. So sitting in forums such as this to make sure that we drive financial inclusion and financial literacy for our members.
Awesome. Earlier when we started the conversation, we looked at the role, first the financial inclusion, which is where you've ended,